Demko here at Demko Knives. We're in our grinding room to tell you today about 3V. 3V is probably one of my most favorite steels to use in cutlery because you can see from the collection of knives here, all in 3V, it works from the smallest knives to the biggest knives. I think I've been using it since about 2002, maybe early 2000s. Before that, making knives in the late 90s, you had only a few choices if you were stock removing. Primary steel was 440C. That was kind of like the greatest knife steel of all time in modern history, 440C. And then it got modified to become, it was called 440C modified, which was 154CM. Before that, there was a few handfuls of steels that people making stock removal, meaning you have the steel blade, you cut it out of a sheet of steel and you grind the blade on one of those grinders. There was D2 and A2 and 440C. Then all of a sudden, some of the older steels that were die steels kind of got modified into being powdered metals. And then 3V became available. So 3V, basically, it had better edge retention than D2, and it had way more toughness than the A2, but it wasn't stainless. But for not stainless steel, it was pretty stainless. It has about 7% chromium in it, and honestly, it's pretty darn stainless. 3V has a bit less chrome than D2, but yet it seems to be about as stainless as D2. So all of a sudden, we had a material had better edge retention, or as good as D2, slightly better I think, 3 times tougher than the A2, and enough stain resistance to where it didn't rust instantly. So that was kind of the overall thing that made me say, wait a minute, 3V is the way to go. It has as good as edge retention as I've ever had, better toughness than I've ever had, and it does not rust instantly. So that's when we started using 3V. This is our 20.5 made in Taiwan in 3V. 3V is so versatile that we can offer small folding knives up to big fixed blades, and it works well on all applications. I don't believe there's many folding knives made in 3V in Taiwan. How I know this is my manufacturer complains and says you're the only person that wants 3V made in Taiwan. So it's out of their comfort zone because it machines differently, it heat treats differently, but it's really worth it. 3V works in this application because it has good edge holding, I would say good to excellent edge holding, extreme toughness, and very decent corrosion resistance for a non-stainless steel. Most steels that are high alloy or even low alloy steels, especially that are non-stainless, it's impossible to use them in a folding knife because literally you'll touch them, you look later, there's rusty fingerprints on your knife. So actually, I don't believe we've ever had a 3V knife come in for corrosion issues. One of my favorite attributes about 3V is not only its toughness and its edge retention, but it's easy to resharpen. It's much easier than some of the high abrasive stainless steels. Any new person who is not well schooled at sharpening with the proper sharpening stones can sharpen this up to a very sharp edge easily. Another great attribute of 3V is its ease to sharpen. This means that when you're out in the field or on a camping trip somewhere and you're sharpening not at home with all your equipment, but portable sharpening devices, 3V is really easy to resharpen, especially on the fly. Here at Demko Knives, we design everything with performance first. This is a competition chopper I used in blade sports in 3V. There's very few steels that you can make a competition chopper of that will survive the contest. It has to cut fine things like paper, even the top of a straw, cut rope, cut hard oak dowels. It's ground extremely thin, more thinly than you would want your maybe camp knife. If you do well, at the end of the contest, if your knife is damaged at all, the judges will look, they'll check your edge for rolling or chipping. If there's any damage in your edge, you forfeit. You didn't even win. 3V can survive all that contest, all that testing, and be undamaged. That's what makes it so good for a camp knife. So you take the performance from here, and then maybe doesn't need to have a race car cutting edge. You can have a regular hair shaving cutting edge, a little bit thicker. 3V does it all. In conclusion, 3V ultimately had the best toughness I've ever had in a knife, equal to or better edge holding than any knife I've ever had, and was stainless enough not to rust instantly. And that is why 3V is my favorite cutlery steel.